Max Weber, the German sociologist and political scientist, once said Machiavelli's The Prince was harmless in comparison to Chanakya's Arthashastra. He was not wrong in the slightest. Machiavelli's The Prince will teach you how to stay in power and navigate court politics. Sun Tzu will teach you how to go to war, while Chanakya will teach you something much more profound: how to build a state. Chanakya's ancient wisdom resonates well beyond India's borders, evidenced by its influence on global leaders and military strategists alike. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's reference to Chanakya at the United Nations General Assembly underscores its relevance in contemporary geopolitics, while its inclusion in the curriculum of the U.S. Army War College in Pennsylvania speaks to its universal appeal and applicability in understanding power dynamics. In this analysis, we delve into Chanakya's Arthashastra, exploring its profound insights on statecraft, diplomacy, and power. By examining these ancient strategies, we aim to unveil the timeless wisdom guiding leaders and strategists across centuries. At the core of Chanakya's philosophy on statecraft is the conviction that a nation's strength fundamentally rests on its economic foundations. He asserts, "The source of livelihood for men is wealth," emphasizing the critical role of the government in ensuring the economic prosperity of its people and the nation at large. Through the lenses of the Arthashastra, Chanakya delves into the essence of economic governance, advocating for the creation of productive ventures alongside streamlined processes for taxation, revenue collection, and fiscal planning. Chanakya places economic stability and surplus generation on a higher pedestal than military prowess, reasoning that without adequate compensation, even the most loyal soldiers would hesitate to lay down their lives. He advocates for active economic management, asserting that the economy is fundamental to a nation's wealth and power, and that neglecting it will surely lead to hardship. Advising the sovereign to improve the welfare of his subjects, Chanakya recommends strategic investments in infrastructure projects such as irrigation systems and trade networks, alongside the use of tax incentives to boost economic activity. His observations align with the modern view that economic instability frequently leads to social unrest, highlighted by the turbulent conditions in economically strained nations, in sharp contrast to the stability of wealthier countries. This ancient wisdom, suggesting that true strength and foreign policy leverage stem from economic robustness, finds a modern echo in the transformative economic reform that India underwent in the 1990s. These reforms catapulted India onto the global stage, attracting the attention of major powers and securing its place in key international forums. India's burgeoning wealth has not only fortified its military and diplomatic positions, but has also enabled it to navigate the global balance of power with newfound agility. For instance, India's economic stature allowed it to navigate the pressures from the United States regarding oil trade with Russia. Amid a global campaign led by the US to isolate Russia economically, India stood its ground, securing a deal to purchase hundreds of millions of barrels of Russian crude oil. Notably, these transactions were conducted in Indian rupees, a currency only partially convertible, requiring New Delhi's approval for large-scale transactions. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov acknowledged the problem of accumulating billions of rupees that they have not been able to spend. However, India leveraged its economic clout to offer an unconventional solution, reinvesting those rupees into its own economy. India used its economic standing to refuse pressure and secure oil from Russia at a substantial markdown, and is now using its economic growth to get Russia to reinvest the rupees they have earned back into the Indian economy. Chanakya's teachings, emphasizing economic growth before military expansion for national prosperity, are as relevant now as they were 2 millennia ago. The success of China and India, following these guidelines, starkly contrasts with the struggles of nations like Pakistan and the Soviet Union that overlooked economic strategy, demonstrating the timeless value of his doctrine. Chanakya mirrors Sun Tzu's art of war teaching in avoiding direct conflict with an enemy. His advice emphasizes the importance of exhausting all other strategies, conciliation, appeasement, and creating divisions, before resorting to force. The core of this strategy is to reserve force as a final recourse, to be deployed when it can be most effective and with minimal expenditure. He advocates for engaging the enemy only under advantageous conditions, ensuring victory with minimum amount of force used. Consider, for instance, a scenario where two equally matched armies are on the brink of battle. Rather than rushing into direct combat, Chanakya prescribes a more cunning route. Begin with diplomatic overtures and gifts to lull the enemy into a false sense of security. Attack his supply lines, attack his alliances, attack the morale of his army, foster dissent among his coalition, woo his first-in-command, and poison the mind of the second-in-command. Attack everything but him directly, thus weakening him without expending your own energy. The goal is to bide time, waiting for the moment when the enemy is weakened and the battlefield conditions are skewed in your favor, and then striking with ferocity. The Indo-Pakistani War of 1971 serves as a prime example of Chanakya's strategic principles in action. Prior to the onset of hostilities, India executed a comprehensive strategy aimed at weakening Pakistan's position prior to using military force. India's diplomacy aimed to isolate Pakistan globally, garnering support for East Pakistan's Bengalis. These efforts set the stage for a military campaign, framing India's actions as support for self-determination and a response to a humanitarian crisis, as opposed to a strategy aimed at dividing Pakistan and diminishing its future threat potential. Simultaneously, India provided covert support to the Mukti Bahini, the guerrilla fighters advocating for East Pakistan's independence by offering training, arms, and logistical assistance, straining Pakistan's military resources and morale even before the formal war began. Psychological operations complemented these efforts, utilizing broadcasts and leaflets to encourage defections, particularly among the Bengali-speaking soldiers in the Pakistani army. Whilst the Indian Navy implemented a successful naval blockade named Operation Trident, which isolated East Pakistan and cut off Pakistani military resupply routes. All these steps weakened Pakistan at not even the cost of a single Indian troop. The culmination of these efforts was a military campaign that effectively won the war before it had even begun. After just 13 days of fighting, Pakistani forces surrendered in Dhaka on December 16, 1971. Thus, through meticulous planning and strategic foresight, Chanakya's ancient wisdom was brought to life on the modern battlefield, demonstrating the enduring power of intellect over brute force. In the realm of foreign policy, Chanakya's Mandala theory offers a sophisticated blueprint for navigating complex and often aggressive relationships with neighboring countries. It illustrates the delicate balance of alliances and rivalries that define the geopolitical landscape. At its core, the theory puts forward a simple yet profound principle: the enemy of my enemy is my friend. According to this strategic schema, a state is encircled by adversaries along its borders, forming an immediate ring of hostility. Beyond this circle lies a second tier of states, which, by virtue of their opposition to the first ring, emerge as potential allies. This concentric arrangement of enmity and amity offers a timeless lens through which to view the dynamics of foreign policy and interstate interactions. The relevance of this theory is exemplified in India's relations with Pakistan and Afghanistan. India views Pakistan, its immediate neighbor, as a principal adversary, while Afghanistan is seen as a potential ally, a counterbalance to Pakistani hostility. Historically, India has consistently sought to avoid direct military engagement with Pakistan, favoring instead a strategy of containment and attrition. This approach has been evident in India's diplomatic, economic, and cultural overtures towards Afghanistan, aimed at bolstering the Afghan government as a means of indirectly undermining Pakistani influence. Notable initiatives include the donation of 250,000 metric tons of wheat to alleviate Afghan food shortages, the establishment of Indian medical missions providing free healthcare, and significant infrastructure projects like the Salma Dam and the new Afghan parliament building. Even amid the geopolitical upheaval following the Taliban's rise to power, India's efforts to maintain a presence in Afghanistan through a technical team and proposals for wheat shipments via Pakistan illustrate a commitment to keeping Afghanistan within New Delhi's sphere of influence. The Indian footprint in Afghanistan remains a persistent irritant for the Pakistani military establishment, embodying what Chanakya termed as an undeclared war. Through covert operations including espionage and the fomenting of dissent, alongside financial support amounting to millions of dollars to insurgent groups with bases in Afghanistan, India saps Pakistan's resources and morale, without risking a single soldier. Additionally, India's policy towards China embodies Chanakya's strategy of forming alliances to counter more powerful adversaries, as demonstrated by its involvement in the Quad. This informal strategic forum includes the United States, India, Australia, and Japan. Initially considered the Quad's weakest link due to its hesitation in deepening defense cooperation, India's stance shifted markedly following the 2020 border clashes with China, increasing its commitment to the Quad. India now actively participates in naval exercises alongside the US, Japan, and Australia to enhance naval interoperability, and steps up military cooperation with these partners as well to deter and contain China's influence. 2 millennia after Chanakya penned the Arthashastra, his teachings continue to shape India's approach to managing both regional and international relations. This enduring influence underscores the timeless nature of Chanakya's wisdom in navigating the complex landscape of global diplomacy. Chanakya's ancient wisdom on economic strategy and diplomacy retains significant relevance in today's world, influencing modern leaders and strategists globally. Remember, the lessons of the past hold the keys to the future, and in the teachings of Chanakya, we find a compass to guide us through the complexities of modern governance and diplomacy. We hope you found our analysis of Chanakya's Arthashastra insightful. If you know other ways Chanakya's philosophy is applied today, please share in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. That's all for now, until next time.